Call our meeting to order. Let's see. First up, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda for tonight? There are none that I'm aware of, so hearing none, we'll move right on. Roll call, have you taken, or I guess you need to take it, don't you, Sarah?
I do, yes.
You could do that, please.
Thank you. Commissioner Stahl?
I'm here. I'm in Alma.
Commissioner Allman?
I am right here in Alma, Michigan.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Harrington?
I am here in Alma, Michigan.
Mayor Mapes?
I'm also here in Elma, Michigan.
Commissioner Piccolo? Not with us tonight. And Commissioner Pitts?
Yes, in Alma, Michigan.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Appreciate that. Next, we'll move to the Pledge of Allegiance. If we could please get a flag and we'll rise and recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. And next, we'd entertain a motion for the approval of the December 8th, 2020 regular meeting minutes.
Move approval.
Support.
We have a motion of support. Are there any additions, corrections, deletions? Hearing none. Would you please take the roll or call the vote on this one, please, Sarah?
Thank you. Commissioner Allman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harrington?
Yes.
Mayor Mapes?
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts?
Yes.
And Commissioner Stahl?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. That motion is passed. We have approved the minutes. Moving down to hearings. We have a public hearing to consider the proposed ordinance number 818, which is our pedal trolley ordinance. A new one for us. Well, it's not new. We've talked about it before, but a new ordinance tonight we'll be adding. Matt, did you want to take this, or Eric? Is there any background for us?
Do we want to open the hearing
Oh,
first?
yeah, we'll open the public hearing.
Move to open the hearing.
Second.
Yes.
Support. Yeah.
Sarah, if you please take a vote.
Vice Mayor Harrington?
Yes.
Mayor Mapes?
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts?
Yes.
Commissioner Stahl?
Yes.
And Commissioner Allman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Thanks for the reminder there. Eric, did you have some?
Yep, I'll give you a quick little background. We've seen this about 3 times now. Things I want to mention. Obviously, this ordinance will require an operator of a pedal trolley to acquire a license, and this will be done on a yearly basis. We also have a provision in here to provide for a temporary permit, and that would be in case of a special event. Since it's a yearly license, maybe there's a special event that pops up that would need a reason to change or have for a period of time a different route than what we approved for their yearly license. Limitations, these pedal trolleys must have a motor with them, specifically for the BR 127 and any major street that's classified as a major street in the city of Alma. They are not going to be allowed to cross Superior Street from Michigan Avenue to Wright Avenue, except at light controlled intersections with traffic lights. And the route taken by such vehicles, they shall not be picked. No passengers shall be picked up or discharged on Superior Street. They'll have to be off a side street for their pickup and drop off areas. Like I mentioned, this would be a yearly application. Staff would make a recommendation for City Commission approval on each year. Then from there, number of licensees. We are providing for 2 licensees within the city of Alma. And so if to actually get a third one, if that ever would happen, we're basing it on population. So there'd have to be 16,000 people in the city of Alma for a third one would be added. But what we have in here is allow for 2 for each 8,000 permanent residents in population in the city of Alma. But it's like I said, this one was based upon the Frankenmuth model. They're a town a little bit smaller than us, population-wise, but well, we think it covers everything that we need to cover with this type of operation.
Good. Thank you, Eric. Are there any questions for Eric? I think we've all read this and talked about it a little bit. So this is a public hearing. Is there any members of the public that have any questions? And
Eric,
Aaron, you
Eric,
let us know if it's evening. Oh, Roger.
Eric, I had a question that occurred to me earlier today. I don't know if this exists. If there are bicycle paths on any of these streets, are these required to be in those bike lanes? I don't know if there even are. No,
they would just obviously follow all traffic laws. And the goal is obviously these things aren't going to be speeding down any major roads. Obviously, we're not going to have them going up Wright Avenue for any purposes of what is happening there. But obviously, as if we do learn something that we might have missed, then we can adjust and deal with that at least on a yearly basis with their license. Or obviously, we can deal with them at, underneath this ordinance as, hey, we need you to modify this part of your business model.
Okay, but they would not be restricted to bike lanes where there are any.
No. They'll be moving in regular traffic. The pedal trolleys are equipped basically, other than the horsepower, they have everything on it that a motor vehicle would have.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there any members of the public that would like to ask a question or make a comment? Okay, hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to close the hearing then.
Move to close the hearing.
Support.
Sarah, if you tally the vote, please.
Mayor Mapes,
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
Commissioner Stahl,
Yes.
Commissioner Allman,
Yes.
and Vice Mayor Harrington.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sarah, the hearing has been closed. Move down to resolutions. We have consideration of a resolution to award conditional authorization for medical marijuana facility license previously issued to Oak Flint LLC and revoked on November 10th, 2020 to How Smooth It Is Incorporated with final authorization contingent upon completion of all the steps as outlined in the relevant ordinance and policy. The proposed location is at 116 East Superior Street.
Move approval.
Pleasure.
Move approval.
Support.
I have a motion support. Is there any comments or questions?
Just some background, Greg, real quick. Obviously, as it's stated in the agenda, this is a license that was made available once the Oak Flint license was revoked for not meeting the deadlines. Staff has reviewed the updated application that was submitted by How Smooth It Is and meets our criteria. One thing that we did put in this resolution, dealing with the COVID, and we're still in that COVID emergency order, that instead of the 12 months that we put in the previous provisional resolutions, as you can see in the now therefore we resolve section, we did put in 18 months, which is a year and 6 months is what we did give to the other 3 provisioning centers. So that's the only difference in this resolution that what you've approved in the past.
Okay. Very good. Any questions? Okay, hearing none. Sarah, once again, if you would tally the vote.
Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
Commissioner Stahl,
No.
Commissioner Allman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harrington,
Yes.
and Mayor Mapes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Moving down to ordinances, consideration of a resolution to adopt ordinance number 818, pedal trolley ordinance to allow for the licensure of pedicabs in the city of Alma and regulation under the police power of the city of Alma. Your pleasure.
Move approval.
Support.
Motion. We have a motion and support. We've talked about this just recently, I believe. So are there any, maybe we think of new questions or anything to talk about? Not hearing anything. We'll go ahead and move to the vote. Sarah, if you would, please.
Thank you. Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
Commissioner Stahl,
Yes.
Commissioner Allman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harrington,
Yes.
Mayor Mapes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, and that has passed. We'll move down to agreements. We have two, the first of which is consideration of a resolution to approve the municipal employees retirement system plan adoption agreement and addendums for each division in the defined benefit plan and the defined contribution plan. Also to authorize Rick Siefka, our HR manager, to sign the addendum documents. Your pleasure.
Move approval.
Support.
Motion and support. Are there any questions or comments? Or Matt or Eric, did you want to give us any background on this?
These are the yearly, they've just made a couple changes in, each division has to have its own adoption as to definitions and all the different things located within each of our divisions. Want you to know, though, this does not preclude us from coming back and doing an addendum to them at any time, though, that we feel. So some of those discussions that we have opened in the past that we need to keep exploring, I think would still be open at that time. This doesn't lock us in. We can do it by addendum.
Okay, good. Thank you. Questions? Hearing none. Again, we'll move to the vote. Sarah, if you would, please.
Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
Commissioner Stahl,
Yes.
Commissioner Allman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harrington,
Yes.
and Mayor Mapes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. That has passed. Next is consideration of a resolution to approve change orders number 1 and 2 for the Hoffman Road demolition project for a total contract increase of $4,125 to provide for the removal of unforeseen items which were found at the demolition site. Your pleasure.
Move approval.
Support.
We have a motion and support. We talked about this a little bit. I don't know. You want anything on Eric and like get on the record, Eric?
Yes. Yep. The original bid price that we had that we approved at our meeting a couple meetings ago was for $69,675. We met with the contractor and discussed with them alternates 2 and 3, and so when we signed our original contract with them, we were able to knock that down to the $56,195. And basically, what we were looking at doing was, can we use more of the soil on site instead of trucking more of it in? And do we need to bring in clay? And could we use some other things that are there? So when it was all said and done, basically you have to re-add. That's why it says increase, because when we signed the contract, we were lower than what we approved for originally. We did find some extra debris out there. We found, believe it or not, a small boat, another small grub bound above ground tank that was empty, another 55-gallon drum that was empty, and 3 truck bed liners. So just to have them taken off our hands, they charge us $750 for that. And then we did find actually a nice sizable amount of sand on the old hip roof barn. There was a concrete floor in there, but there was a substantial amount of sand covering that floor. So we were able to bring that down to 675 where the house was at, and use a lot of that sand to backfill. So with that all said, we were able to lower our overall original approved bid amount down to $60,320. So we were able to save some money on the overall demo of that. So everything is done out there now and ready to be all submitted back to the state of Michigan.
Very good. Thank you, Eric. Questions? I do have one. We've got, that makes now a very nice piece of property for development for our industrial park. So what's it going to take to get a sign out there that can be read from the highway that we've got land available for development?
We do have a small one right now that MEDC paid for, but yeah, it'd be great to get a bigger one that you can see.
A big one.
Yeah, you'd have to be a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Needs to be viewed from the highway.
I guess, we're coming up on new budget season. That's something we can talk about, looking at getting a price for and getting one put out there.
I think it'd probably be money well spent.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
It's strange out there when you, I mean, I don't go out there a lot, but when you go out there and look now, and it's just vast. I mean, it looks so much more vast without the house and the other buildings. So a little more vision for people, I think, to see what it can be used for.
What's the actual size of it? How many acres or whatever is out there?
All of it, it's over 300 acres.
Okay. Wow.
Nice developable property.
Very nice piece of industrial property.
Okay. Anybody else? Comments, questions? Sarah, if you would, please.
Thank you. Commissioner Stahl,
Yes.
Commissioner Ullman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harrington,
Yes.
Mayor Mapes,
Yes.
and Commissioner Pitts.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. That motion is carried. Number 3, consideration of a resolution to approve a First Amendment to the Water Tank Communication Site Lease Agreement with T-Mobile Central LLC and to include a utility easement for the entirety of the lease. Your pleasure. Roger, you're muted. Are you?
Move approval.
Thank you, Roxanne. Do we have
Support.
And we have support. All right. Is there any background on this one for us? Pretty
Yeah,
routine, it looks like.
I can help you out with that. A subcontractor through T-Mobile reached out to me several months ago, and they discovered that they have some basic utility lines that are running through that area. What I'm talking about is the north property edge of the water tower, as well as the east side. And when they went through their paperwork to try to do some, I'm guessing it's because T-Mobile's been acquired and they're looking through all their legal language, that they don't have anything, and they missed it when they did the original agreement. I believe it was 2008 or 2009. That area was not listed, so they wanted to formalize that to actually get legal permission to have those utility lines placed there. So they wanted the legal right to do that. They were looking at using some property on the old Total site, but told them I don't have the liberty to approve easements for them. So they reached out and wanted to have it exclusively on our water tower site. It in no way, shape, or form affects our ability to get in and out of the water tower, any type of future uses for the water tower or anything like that. So it's basically a formality to give them the official permission to run what lines they do have there currently. And that's why it's an amendment to that agreement. And I believe the year was 2008, 2009 is when that original contract was signed with T-Mobile.
So there's nothing new they're putting in. This just covers what's already there.
Yes, from what I understand, what they've relayed to me, they wanted to have this formally in contract and part of easement language. And I reached out to them, and they are going to file the easement language. I want to have the official copy for our records in the future so that we can track it now too from now on.
Okay, the easement though is a time limited easement, right? It's not a permanent easement.
Yes, it's an amendment to their contract. So their contract, I believe, was a 10-year contract with the options to renew 2 consecutive 10 years. So this would, and the contract automatically renews unless there's some type of an issue where we would backtrack on it. So yes, it is a part of the official lease language that we have. If they decided to come off the tower, then that would expire.
We do have other tenants on the tower as well, do we not?
Yes.
And this does not impact them negatively in any way?
Nope. Nope. It would just, what this gives us formal approval for T-Mobile to run their lines where they exist, and nobody can say you have to move them or anything like that. They're already there. But no, it does not
Okay.
affect anything on the tower or anything like that in the future. Our biggest concern we were looking at is, can we get in and out of the site? Does it restrict anything that we may have as far as expansion or utility lines? Our real biggest concern is we keep utility lines, any types of easements away from the front face, the west edge, or yes, the west face of that property, because that's where our lines come in, and we don't want any conflicts with those. Because obviously any need for an emergency repair or future lines for us having to connect to that or do replacements, we don't want to have to worry about somebody moving their equipment or give an easement that would prevent us from even be able to running lines through their own property.
Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none. Sarah, if you would, please.
Thank you. Commissioner Allman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harrington,
Yes.
Mayor Mapes,
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
and Commissioner Stahl.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. That motion is passed. Next up, we have two reports to receive: the finance report for November 2020 and the city manager's December 22nd, 2020 report. Your pleasure with the reports.
Move to receive. Do we want to pull Matt's to?
If you would, please. Thank you.
Okay, I'll move
Okay.
to receive the financial report, which was very extensive. Thank you. Thank you.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. I guess just we'll go to a vote then. Sarah?
Vice Mayor Harrington,
Yes.
Mayor Mapes,
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
Commissioner Stahl.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sarah? Now we'll entertain a motion for Matt's report.
Move to receive Matt's report.
Support.
We have motion support. Okay, Matt, would you like to give us?
Sure. Obviously, everybody knows, guys, there's a lot going on. There's a lot that's impacting everybody when we're looking at federal stimulus money, different programs and different things. One of the things I want everybody to be aware of is that as the Family's First Coronavirus Relief Act, which was the initial CARES Act that was put out earlier in the year, is set to sunset on December 31st. One of the areas that affects us with that sunset that I think everybody really needs to know is that under that initial act, we were required to give the 80 hours of sick time to our personnel who encounter any of the COVID issues that are there. With the sunsetting of that act on the 31st, that will no longer be there. That's no longer because the new stimulus, and what I was waiting for too is to see where we're going to get an extension of that act or what we're going to do. But we actually have as a new bill. And so I want to bring this to your attention because it's going to change some things as to how we've been operating. That 80 hours that basically was granted is no longer available. So what ends up happening is if somebody gets quarantined, then there's a couple differences now that have happened in quarantine for days and things like that. But or if they get sick, our employees will have to use their own sick time. Now, keep in mind, back in March, you folks, we did a resolution and created that emergency sick time that allowed folks here at the city, if they had one of the 5 related coronavirus issues, including things that aren't necessarily sick, but that's having to care for someone, or if you were quarantined, that they were allowed to use their sick time. So you gave permission for them to be able to use that time in a condition that goes against the normal use of sick time. That will still be there because we are still operating under a state order from the health department at this point in time. So that's still there. As I said in my report, with what we're going through with our money from the CRLGG, with what we're going through here, And as 2020 goes, we had an appointment yesterday that IT Rate was to be here to make all the changeovers in our network, which would help boost our security and done all the things. Our gentleman that was to be here actually is quarantined. So that's been put off a little bit. But with that, we will end up having the ability by the time we're done to probably about 30% of our workforce will be able to work from home. So what that does say is if somebody is quarantined or they are contact traced or something like that happens and they aren't sick, they're able to work from home still, where they won't have to use their time. That does leave about 70% of our workforce that doesn't have that ability. At first glance, you look at that and that just doesn't seem right or fair. But as we're going through these things, there are just some of the issues that come up now in our world. And so the only thing I'm hesitating on, I haven't read all 5,000 pages. I'm not going to tell you I read all 5,000 pages of that stimulus bill. But within that, there's an awful lot of language. And I'm waiting for some more interpretation from MML to make sure that there was not some adjustment in this. But as of right now, my understanding is that is the case, that we will at this point, from this point in time forward, folks will have to start using some of their own time. And if you remember back, I think we had made a judgment call along with our attorney early on that the order itself started as soon as the governor had made those issues, had issued the order, and we used some sick time to separate our folks. And so a lot of people have already been through 80 hours of that. We also then were actually, when the CARES Act came out further, we were on the hook for those other 80. So we do have some folks who've received some substantial time from this. And I think we've done to the best of our ability to make sure that we've done right by them. But things are changing here. And I want to relay that to our staff so everybody's well aware of that as we go forward, as we move. The Mid-Michigan Health Department has, so that, they have made a change. They have now taken the recommendations of the CDC where you are also allowed to use the 10-day quarantine as opposed to the 14. So I've sent that out to everybody also today. So that would help us there. So this is just one of the areas that we continue to monitor as we go through this.
So what if they don't have sick time? I mean, I don't know if anybody's in that situation, but if they don't have sick time to use, what happens?
If they don't have any time, any of their PTO program at that point in time, now FMLA, the Family Medical Leave Act still pertains to all this, but this refers back to the original law of the FMLA. So you have to have number of hours worked and all of those things also. Mm-hmm. If somebody doesn't have sick time and we don't have any other types of policies in here, we could look at some things of ungranted time off if we need it, or unpaid time off granted through my office so that we're not having people lose their jobs over this.
Sure.
But that's going to be the change. And I don't, hopefully.
Well, because even with the FMLA, you have to have sick time to
you got to get through your banks.
Right.
But hopefully what we're looking at is seeing that we've been talking about this for a while. We have I think we're very fortunate that we earn our sick time. We have those things that are there. If there's extenuating circumstances, we may need to look at something to see how to make sure we can get through some of these things. But I want to make sure that everybody knows up front that there's going to be a change, because to be honest, what we have had is, I think as people, and I don't think we've had abuse, but I do think when people realize, you mean I have 80 hours coming to me if I've been contact traced, that makes the wheels spin a little bit sometimes. And so we've had to have some discussions with some folks that we still need to make sure we're doing this right, and that there's a reason, because through contact tracing now, the way it's going to, we don't necessarily, the health department hasn't made that call. We're really taking people on their honor system right now too on a lot of that. And so, and again, knock on wood, we've been very, very fortunate here in this organization.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
And my son actually he's just went through this. So he was sick. They sent him home. They COVID tested. Took like 4 days to get the test back. Tested negative. He was still sick. So his work told him to stay off for the 14 days. Despite 2 negative tests, they wouldn't let him come back. They took all of his vacation time for that 14 days. And then the live-in girlfriend tested positive for COVID. So he could not come back for another 14 days. So they had him apply for unemployment because he had nothing left
in that bank.
So it's a mess, because just weeks before that, was the 80-hour if you had.
Exactly.
So,
If you had it and you were getting that automatically. And I think that's what I need to make sure our staff understands. This is not a decision that was made by you folks, wasn't made by us.
it's a mess.
This is that this has not been extended. And trust me, I've scoured that to try and think. And I would tell you this, that what I found very interesting as you're looking, there's not a lot of talk about this in the state of Michigan. Get online though, and you'll find other states. This has been out there for a month of people saying, what are we going to do when this ends? What are we going to do when this ends? And there really wasn't any answer that I could find by anybody either, because it's exactly the situation you're saying. So,
And Matt, what do we do if somebody was out of sick time? Can employees at the city donate days to them?
we don't currently have a policy, and we've shied away from that for a long time for different reasons. That's a real tough one because we do run into some things, and if we start to see these things, we may have to look at some other things like that, but that's one of those that always sounds good until you've given up your time. And then next thing you know, especially with something like this, suddenly you're in the same boat and you need that time. And then we're chasing our tail a lot of times on this. So
Okay.
we'll continue to do the things so that you know too. I'd mentioned some of the other bills that have been going along. It does appear we're waiting for final because the House, everybody, the state legislature was supposed to be done last night. They were done. I haven't heard anything different, but I do know that they were waiting for the House to pass the essential workers bill that was going to change to include water and wastewater. I have not seen that come out formally, but I believe that happened. I am just waiting for that formal, because what that does for us is it says, because basically right now with public safety, and then if we're talking water, wastewater being considered essential by definition, unless they're sick, even if they've been contact traced, they will come to work. And then it's up to us to put provisions into how we do our best job to keep everybody safe. And we've been doing some of that already with the police department and had those. Dave, before this had changed a little bit. Dave had already been through an issue where we did that in one of his departments. So we'll continue to do that because I think now they're going to be included in that essential worker also. So it's continuous, as you all know. I'm not telling you anything you haven't heard. So the stimulus package that was passed too, it doesn't appear there's any, initially there was some talk that 90 billion would go in for states and locals that would be shipped to FEMA, which quite frankly, I wasn't that enthused about anyway. We've all tried to deal with FEMA in the past on certain things, and I'll just leave it at that. And it's probably, I wish the money was still being put somewhere, but I think that in the next month, maybe when the new administration gets in, we will start to see some of that change and trickle our way. But we'll just keep our eye on that. The other event that I'd like to talk to you about a little bit, just to get some input, and we'll be back next meeting then to really go over. The chamber has been talking to a number of local businesses downtown that just trying to be creative of things. I mean, if you've seen, there's places now with shanties in the parking lot. There's a lot of things going around to get around some of these rules, but what they're looking at is to say, for a Valentine's Day special event, could we do something in the downtown area that would allow us to do some promotion, allow the chamber to do some promotion, to see if we can get some folks in a way we could do it. So we've already had this discussion on the social districts a number of times. The social district, remember, if we were to do a social district, that's a permanent, I mean, that lasts, that's not a one night thing. And there's an awful lot of paperwork. There's a cost to our businesses who would want to get involved in that. My feelers just initially with MDOT too is they're not overly excited to give a social district on Business Route 127 at this point in time, because then there's a lot of control lost over that. And we understand that. And I think we would be putting an awful lot of effort to make some changes for a one night event. So what Eric and I've talked about quite a bit, I think, is the idea that having the commission look to, and we will bring this to you next meeting, if this is something you look at, is to take the 300 and 400 block of Woodworth. So it's the south of Superior, north of Superior blocks, and allow for the commission, because you have the right for us to designate those as an area that we would say for that day, for certain times, to basically be, and Eric, we don't say it's a park, but it's basically to use like a park where consumption would be allowed. And so we would be able to allow folks at the restaurants in the downtown area. You could still purchase takeout because that's still legal right now. Capped drink, closed drink, to be able to walk to the area to be able to do. And then the restaurants could actually try to do some business. I get it's cold. I get it might be snowy, but We're going to try and say, well, if the uniqueness is and people really want to come out, could we promote something just to try and do a little bit of a boost there? So if it's some of the current restrictions currently are, the 25 person per event, or you're looking at 20,000 or 20 people per 1,000 square feet. What we had discussed is we could definitely use the north side and south side as two separate areas. They're far enough apart. We believe that would fly, that we wouldn't have MIOSHA coming to talk to us about that. So it allows us to get more people. But if it's something that you folks feel is worthwhile, then we'll put the effort in over the next couple of weeks to do. And then we'll try and set up a meeting also with those businesses to make sure that they're on board of what it is we're trying to do for them in order just to create an event for them. It's just to spark some interest and to see. I've already heard people go, "You think I'm going to sit out there on the 13th of February in the snow?" Well, you might not, but somebody else might. And so we'll try and see if we can do something like that.
That'd be fun.
It's just different enough. It may be something that's really a
We
good.
may be bored enough that it looks great.
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea. As I read the stuff that came down from the health department about what is legal and what isn't legal, there is no reason why people who wanted to couldn't bring a 10 by 10 canopy. You can have top, you can't have sides on it, or you can have one side, I guess. But that'd keep the rain and the snow off of your table anyhow. And if we
Depending
can
on
put
whether at that
picnic
point we
tables
could, and we'd leave that kind of open. I think you're seeing people we were talking this morning, and people are getting very creative as this goes on, and we will be past that restriction date that runs to what I believe the 15th, that they'll still be under that. So of January. So that still gives us another month. So there may be some things that have even changed during that point in time that will make it moot, but we'd like to at least have something in the works that we can have something going on down there. So,
I certainly think it's worth looking into and pursuing for
try.
the time being. Absolutely.
Absolutely. If the businesses are interested in doing it, I think we need to support it as best we can.
Right. We'll work on that, and we will actually bring it then for the next meeting to do we'll have the resolution prepared and everything so that we can do that a little more. So hopefully it's something, hopefully things have changed enough and they're opened up a little bit again, and then if things are going better, then they can have their Thanksgiving, their Valentine's Day like that. That's how romantic I am. So that would, hopefully they'd be ready to go. So I'll work on that. Thank you. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Okay, I believe we had a motion and support to receive Matt's report. So does anybody have any questions first? I don't see anything. So Sarah, if you'd go ahead and tally the vote for this.
Thank you. Mayor Mapes, will you start?
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
Commissioner Stahl,
Yes.
Commissioner Allman,
Yes.
and Vice Mayor Harrington.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Motion is passed. Moving down to new business, we have consideration of a request from Jim Courtney of Woody's Nursery LLC for the extension of time to obtain a certificate of compliance for medical marijuana grow facility.
Move support. Yeah. Move. Yes. Move approval.
You make a motion, right?
Yeah, whatever that says. Yes.
Okay, now we're looking for support.
Support.
Okay, we have motion support. Everybody's probably read it. Do you have anything background, Matt or Eric?
Jim is on the line to speak with you this evening. The initial provisional approval that we gave Woody's Nursery was on December 10th of last year. Jim is here to talk to you tonight about an extension of that time period. This is for a grow operation located out in the industrial park off of Michigan Avenue at I'm blanking on the it's Redmond Court 2556, I believe, but Jim knows the actual address probably off the top of his head. But if Jim, if you're ready, I'll let you take over there.
Jim, did you have anything to add? I guess Aaron is, if we allowed him to speak, does he have permissions?
How about that?
Here we go.
Much better.
Sorry. I'm sorry. No, I just want to say good evening to everyone. And I don't think any of you really know me. My background is in real estate and development. And I got involved in this business when it first started to, look like it was going to become legal. And we began actually probably a year before last December with our state approvals and getting vetted by the state police and the tax authorities and all those people. And by the time we got our city approval from you guys last December, we already had the plans complete. We've got about 150 cash into it already, without anything really to show for it. But where we were at that point is we spent a lot of money on lawyers to get things set up. We also had consultants. We paid our various fees, including the fees to the city. We paid for the drawings. The drawings were complete and extremely well done. We had some of our consultants in the Denver area review them before we put them out for bids, and they were very satisfied. They were surprised that engineers and architects in Michigan could get it right. We then bid the project, and we came in under budget by about $400,000. That's a bit of good news. I gave you that information. I've still got control of the property with Bill Schweitzer, and Bill and I have worked very closely through this whole process. He just wants to sell the building, and I just want to build to grow in it. As far as what actually happened with us is we were planning to, we had to get the bids before we knew we had the correct budget to go to our bank. We got the bank. It's not a bank. It's a private lender out in Colorado. The lender approved us on February 19th. And we were set. We thought everything was good. We had the bids complete. We had the drawings done. We had a lender lined up. They started working on the documents. We got the draft of the documents sometime in early March, right when everybody started talking about COVID on the news. And then I don't remember the date, but you might remember the stock market dropped 35% in one day, I think. That's when my partner said, I'm out. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not even going to, go to Florida this year. I'm not going to spend any money on anything. So I found myself with, by the end of March without a partner and without the lender closed his offices until July. He was closed from the end of March until July, and nothing happened. Couldn't get anything done. And the people who were calling me before the bid process that said, I'm going to be a little facetious, but they said, dump your partner and let me in, that kind of talk. I couldn't even get them to return my calls after the stock market crash. So it's been a very rough year for me personally, because, this is sunk costs as far as the accountants may say, but it's a lot of money to me. So I'm hoping that we can, really, the only thing stopping me now is pray that COVID doesn't get any worse and start all this all over again, but also to line up a new partner. And I do have 3 or 4 people that are finally returning calls. Once the virus was looking like it was getting real close to being a real thing, I think things did loosen up a little bit. I'm very hopeful I can wrap it up in 6 months, and my actual state approval, I have to get a renewal on that on but before the 13th of August. So I'm good on that. And I only asked for 6 months because if I can't do it in the next 6 months, it probably isn't going to happen. So any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Jim. That laid it out good for me, I think. Anybody else have questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll thank you, Jim, and we'll move to the vote. Sarah, if you would, please.
Thank you. Commissioner Pitts,
Yes, for the 6 months.
Commissioner Stahl,
No.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harrington,
Yes.
Mayor Mapes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. That motion is passed. Moving on to appropriations, would anybody care to make a motion to pay the bills?
Pay the bills.
Support.
I hear a motion in support. Is there any questions? Any items anybody wants clarification on? Okay, hearing none. Sarah, if you would take the tally, please.
Thank you. Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
Commissioner Stahl,
Yes.
Commissioner Allman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harrington,
Yes.
Mayor Mapes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that has passed. Commissioner comments. Roger.
Thank you. I really don't think I have anything. Everybody, please continue to try to be as safe as you possibly can. Have a great Christmas with whatever kind of a Christmas it's going to be. Christmas with families of 2 and 3 as opposed to families of 20 this year. But that's the way it is. It's just going to be strange. But at least right now we all have each other. We're all still here, and let's keep it that way. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Audra.
I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and happy holiday season. And I hope everybody stays healthy and has a good time with their small families. Take care.
Very good. Michelle.
Just a couple things. Want to wish everybody a nice long weekend. And if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you have a nice long weekend and hopefully you have the weekend off of work. We're thinking about all those ones that have lost loved ones or their jobs this weekend. We know it's going to be a hard weekend for a lot of people. So just keep that in mind when we're doing our prayers and thoughts this weekend. Also, a few businesses, Adam Bibber at Century 21, Charles down at Braveheart, and the Millers from Miller Auto are putting together an event throughout the county. And actually it's worldwide at 6 p.m. on the 24th at Christmas Eve. You step outside for 2 minutes and you ring a bell, and they still have some bells left if you want to stop at those 3 locations, Century 21, Braveheart, or Miller Auto. And you ring a bell outside for 2 minutes. And I know a couple churches are also going to be ringing their bells at 6 p.m. So it will be a nice night to go out and hear the bells throughout your town or wherever you are. Just make it a family event to get outside and enjoy the snow that we're supposed to get so Santa can get here. And also, again, just remind everybody to get out tomorrow and support those local businesses. They need our love and support right now. So it's been great to see downtown busy when I'm driving to work. People walking around with bags. So hopefully tomorrow will be extra special. I'm expecting to see a couple more gentlemen out tomorrow and Thursday morning. Hint, hint to all those gentlemen that I usually see. But anyways,
It's a day too early.
That's what I'm just saying.
So Thursday
Always
when
my
I get
day.
out at work at noon, it's really busy downtown Alma, is what I should say, with gentlemen. But anyways, Happy New Year. See you guys next year. Everybody stay safe.
Yeah.
I don't have anything more to add, but everybody just stay healthy and be safe and yeah, take care. Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Roxanne. Sarah. Sarah, do you have anything?
You know, for my first year as clerk, this has been it's been quite a year. I gotta say, it's been quite a year. I just want to say thank you for your support and your patience, and I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a happy, hopefully much improved New Year.
Well, thank you, Sarah. And certainly we let you know we appreciate everything you've done for us this year too. And you really pulled off a really nice election. Probably, if I suppose it was the busiest one we've ever had.
I can only assume.
Yes. Okay, Matt.
I just echo the Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. It has been, it's been quite a year. And I appreciate everything you guys have done all year long. It's an awful lot. I sent a thing out to staff today, and that's not enough. I get it, but it's been a year of frustrations and just a lot of different things that we've all been through. But in the end, I'm pretty proud of the way everybody's conducted themselves through this. It could have been a lot more difficult. And I think we all are looking forward to 2021, like we're turning a page, but we still have the issues, but at least we get to look at things with a nice new fresh sense starting there. So Merry Christmas, everybody, and have a really safe and happy new year.
Okay. And I would certainly add my own 2 cents worth on that. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everyone. Stay safe. Looking forward to that vaccine doing its magic for us or performing its science for us, I guess. It's not magic. So with that, we'll move to public comments. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Greg, I just want to pass along, Corey Neal couldn't be here tonight. He's the gentleman who asked us to look into developing the pedal trolley ordinance. He's looking forward to meeting everyone when he brings his application forward for license approval this coming year.
Look forward to seeing him and look forward to seeing the pedal trolley. Sounds like it might be fun. Is there anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Motion support. Sarah, one final time, if you would, please.
Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
Commissioner Stahl,
Yes.
Chair Ullman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harrington,
Yes.
Mayor Makes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, and Merry Christmas, everyone.